Critical Ring Theory fans, this is Pavan coming at you with a new list of 5 things that AEW is knocking out of the park and 5 things that I believe that they need to fix to be successful moving forward. So we're going to start off with the positives, and number 1, the thing that they are knocking out of the park is leveraging the existing partnerships that they've created and the media that they have at their disposal. So all of the work that they have done with being in the elite before AEW was created, creating that fan base, the additional things that they're dropping on YouTube, like AEW Dark, the existing partnerships that they have with AAA, and even one that they don't have with New Japan Pro Wrestling, who is still, in theory, putting over some of AEW's biggest stars in Jon Moxley and Chris Jericho. And the way that AEW has been able to leverage that without having a formal relationship, though I do believe it's in the cards moving forward. They have been able to do all of that, and that's not even to speak about the level of promotion that they've been able to get out of TNT, the new contract that's been signed, the buzz, the fact that they were on NBA games, the fact that they are killing it in terms of helping get their product out there. Have they seen a Raw or SmackDown rating just yet? No, but they continue to be consistent and they continue to start to see some growth, I think. Obviously, this week they were down a little bit, but they are doing a great job of that. Number 2, the item that they are knocking out of the park, the shows feel special. They are not sterile. This is one of my biggest complaints about going to WWE shows. And at this point, I really only go to pay-per-views if I do go to attend. But everything feels the same. The promos, the stage. And I know that they've done some shakeups recently with SmackDown and Raw to change the stages to help with that. But AEW feels special every week. New stages, new matches, new match types, new stipulations, everything out there. Bash at the Beach. They were on a frickin' cruise boat this week. That all feels special. The other thing that I love, they tend to throw these up on YouTube, or if you are lucky enough to attend one of their shows, you see it in person, the after runs. The fact that the elite come out and go and have a good time, whether it's throwing items out to the crowd, that feeling that just by being there, you're going to get a special moment with the superstars or the wrestlers in particular that make you feel like you're getting something a little extra. On that same note, number 3, creating stars. I was actually debating this with a couple of my buddies who are also on this network. And one of the things they said is that they really feel like the elite has dropped a level since AEW began. They specifically cited Kenny Omega. And the fact that, he's dropped some matches. He definitely doesn't feel like the guy who just headlined Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago. And I understand their concern or their perspective, but I have to say that I think that that's refreshing. The fact that the elite is not on the top of the card, or if they are often putting other people over. I was quick to point out that Jon Moxley looked like a killer because Kenny Omega made him look like one. Pac immediately seemed more impactful and more of a player because of the way that Kenny Omega put him over. Same thing with the Young Bucks. They have not been AEW Tag Team Champions. They've been in some great matches, and they've put over talent, and they're telling stories. Cody putting himself out there to not challenge for the AEW title again. Granted that I think that stipulation will eventually get pulled away, but they have done an amazing job of leveraging the elite to put over talent. And there are guys who were less known, like Darby Allin, who, when he wins the world title, and I say when because I think that they've created a star in him, people will care. MJF, who everyone salivates at the opportunity to hear on the microphone, and everyone is dying to see Cody get his hands on. And a host of other folks. Adam Page, who early on, and I'm going back to the elite folks, who people thought they were trying to push too quickly, has a slow build. Sammy Guevara, who has built tremendously as a chicken shit heel who people think is, or who puts out the persona that he is so cool, and just by the rub of being around Chris Jericho, has made himself a star. The other two things that they've done in terms of making people stars that I think is genius, and it's ironic because they're basically doing the same thing with both of them, is Wardlow and Jake Hager. Two guys who have not stepped in the ring as of yet and said very little, but they have been presented as killers, as people that you do not want to mess with. And so you know that the minute that they have a match, so Wardlow's first match that he's going to have with Cody in a steel cage, is going to feel huge because of how they've presented it. Jake Hager, who is yet to step in to an official match in AEW, but one does get involved, is mixing it up with Luchasaurus. When they get involved, people are going to care because of how they've been presented. I cannot wait for the moment where they end up feuding with each other and we get 2 minutes of silent promos. Just kidding there. Number 4, drawing on history. So, not a well-hidden secret that many of the things that have been going on with the Rhodes brothers, the breaking of Dustin's arm, Cody's quest for the NWA title previously, the spike that was used to blind Jon Moxley. All of those things are things that are being pulled directly from the history. The ring that MJF won, those are all historical things. And this is the beauty of it. And this is one of the things that I think Cody brings, along with Tony Khan and several of the other folks, is an understanding that wrestling doesn't have to be complicated. At its simplest form, it's somebody that you like versus somebody you don't like, and you're paying to see them beat the tar out of each other and enjoy a night of entertainment. So drawing on that history. Additionally, the way that they are tapping in to the history of the business. So when they went to Memphis, pulling out the legends, bringing in a Diamond Dallas Page to have an effect. Arn Anderson as the coach for the Nightmare Collective. I don't know if I'm fully on board with that one just yet, but the way that they're leveraging history and saying, yes, we're a new startup, but there's things here that people can feel comfortable with. We're going to use things that have worked in the past. And in particular, Jim Ross, I think, is another good example of this. I know that there has been a lot of talk about his commentary. And let me just say, I love Jim Ross. He was the voice of my childhood. I was very excited when he signed. I don't necessarily think he should be doing weekly commentary anymore just based on how he's performing. However, I think the positive is it is a face, a name, and a voice that people know. So if you stopped watching wrestling in 2001 or whenever, you know Jim Ross, and just by having him on the product, he adds credibility. What I would love to see them do is move him to more of a backstage interview, not necessarily what Tony Schiavone has done, but more so sit down with wrestlers and tell their stories in a produced fashion like he's done with Jon Moxley already, what he did with Mankind all those years ago. But overall, I think that AEW's did a great job on drawing on history. The number 5 thing that I think that they're doing well is just committing to be an alternative. So they're continuing to try new things. They're putting out matches that feel different. The athleticism, there's a story to everything. And yes, they're trying new things, the Dark Order, other stuff. And so that is the list of 5 things that I think that they're doing that are knocking it out of the park. On the flip side, here are the 5 things that I think that they absolutely need to fix. Number 1 is the entrance music. So I was lucky enough to be at the first ever Dynamite taping in DC. One of the first issues that I think that they fixed it, because I also had a chance to go to Full Gear, was sound in the arena. It was really low that first night. They had it way better for Full Gear. But with that is just the entrance music. There are a handful of guys whose music I really enjoy. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks. Cody's theme has been my jam since he went to the Indies. But for a lot of other guys, it really feels like that bad WCW, we just bought stuff that's been licensed, here you go. And so I think that they need to do a better job of creating music to fit the character. I know it's hard. I know that they're an upstart, so I think that they'll get there. Number 2, and this one is one that I feel strongly about, and I think part of the problem is, let me get into it first. There are too many multi-man matches. Yes, I love that they're focusing on the tag team division. I love that they're using the tag team division to tell stories that haven't been told for quite some time and utilize tag team wrestling for the exciting product it can be. That being said, the number of people who are being thrown together for 6-man tags and whatnot is just a little dizzying. And there are certain people who I think it completely works for. The Elite, SCU, Jurassic Express, that's fine. But there doesn't need to be 4 tag team matches on one show or 2 6-man tags. It's just too much. And I think it's a holdover from some of the New Japan product that, Tony Khan or Kenny Omega may love, but it just doesn't feel like it's registering. And I think that in some ways their stars are getting lost in the shovel a bit when they throw somebody like Kip Sabian into a tag team and then a 6-man tag. Yes, it's getting them exposure. Yes, it's getting them reps, but I don't know that it's establishing them in a meaningful way. Number 3, this is like the popular one on the internet, so I'll just put it out there. The women's division. And they have some folks who I think can really go. Riho, Nyla Rose, who I think they just need to commit to because she seems like she's gotten significantly better, and the fans really see her as the threat that she is. But it just feels like it's everything and then the women's division. And then you have the issue with the Nightmare Collective and just not feeling like it's up to snuff. And I think that they also have the issue of the fact that by the fact that WWE has gone out and signed so much of the premier female talent out there, it really limits them. I think the other thing is that Britt Baker was decided to be the face of that division, and she was not ready. Again, no disrespect meant. She is a tremendous performer, but I can't help but feeling in a lot of her matches that things feel sloppy. And so they really need to focus on it, tell a consistent story, find the 1 or 2 folks who are going to be the faces. I think Chris Statlander offers a great opportunity there, but some of her interactions with the Nightmare Collective have also scared me a little bit. So they just need to commit to that and help make it feel like it matters and that the talents that they have are telling a story that is equal and on par to what's going on in the men's division, so it doesn't feel like the add-on. Problem number 4, and I talked about how they were doing a great job with this in my first point, but it also has a negative side to it, is they have a lot of media. They have AEW Dark. They have Being the Elite. Cody occasionally does videos. They have the promotional packages they put out, which is another thing that is great. That Road to Memphis video I love. But they assume that the fans watch all of it. So Hangman Page is playing with the idea that he's drinking a lot right now and being the Elite. And then they continue the storyline on to Dynamite, which is great, but you still need to tell folks who aren't watching Being the Elite what's going on. And some of the things are easy to catch on to, and some of them just don't make a lot of sense or don't immediately connect. And that creates a major issue for the casual audience. And I know that AEW is an alternative, and they're not necessarily booking in the same way that WWE is, but you need to still make the stories tangible and easy to connect with for somebody who doesn't have time to connect in fully. And the last reason, or the last thing that I think that AEW needs to fix is the lack of a mid-card title. And the first couple of months, I think that they have been okay without one, but things are starting to get muddy in that they only have one world title. Chris Jericho is there. He's killing it. He's also helping put over additional talent. When I was talking about people who they were making, Jungle Boy looks amazing. Scorpio Sky is another one. However, as things start to progress, they are clearly establishing a mid-card. And in particular, other than when Cody clears MJF, what is he fighting for? Yes, pride, but I desperately think that they need a mid-card title because it can give some of the folks who are not necessarily being focused on with storylines as much to focus their attention at. A guy who I think could desperately benefit from this right now is Joey Janela. Somebody who has a buzz, who has talent, but really has looked in many ways like a talent just to get other folks over. And I know that you need folks to put other people over. However, I think it's a major issue for them. And so that was 5 things that I believe AEW is knocking out of the park and 5 things that they desperately need to fix. This is Pubbin signing out.